Hi, my name is PANI. I'm the director at KISC, and this is my 60-second Scouting.
3, 2, 1!
So what got you into scouting?
My parents. My parents. I'm very lucky. I'm a baby scout. My parents met in scouting when they were in their early teens, right? And so I didn't get to choose. They just put me to scouting once I was of age. And I've only come to realize how much of a privilege that is on the last years, right? Some people only learn about scouting on their adult life or later on their lives, but I was just put on it when I was 8, 9 years old, and ever since I found a place that really embraces the best parts of me, and that I can contribute also to a community.
How do you start your day? So what's a normal day like for you?
Well, I have my alarm set at 6:45, and normally I snooze it 1 or 2 times, but I try not to snooze it very much. And then depending on the day, I have a small breakfast either at home or I come here. I also like to have breakfast here with the pinkies. It gives me a sense that the day is starting. And then at the 8 sharp, we have a morning meeting that we call Thought for the Day, where all the pinkies here in Kandersteg National Scout Center, we meet in the same room, and we start the day with a morning briefing. And we start the day with a thought. One of us shares a thought, something inspirational or something funny or a reminder while we're all here serving World Scouting. And that's how normally I start my day.
One thing that reminds you of home?
The smell of bread. Somehow, I think Spain has this tradition of having a lot of bakeries. And when you're growing, it's very common that, my grandma or my parents would give me 20 cents back in the day, or 25 cents, and they would give me, go and buy bread. So I have a lot of memories of being 13, 14, 15 years old, going and buy bread to eat or to have dinner. And here there is a very good bakery, Marmot Bakery in the village. And every time you pass by, you have this smell of bread. So that's one small thing that reminds me home.
What's your favorite campfire song?
Maybe not one specifically, but one type is I have a huge sense of appreciation for those who come and perform without speaking anything, right? There is these people that come and they call silence to everybody, and then they define the room and they divide the room in like maybe 2 or 3 sections, right? And then they teach them how to do something with no words, and then eventually they start putting the pieces together, and it's really cool. I have this. Because people is very mysterious, and then when the pieces start to click together, it's really cool. I like those ones.
What do you do in your spare time?
I think it varies a lot from year to year, but also from season to season. I'm a person who can find a lot of joy in many different things, right? So if I'm more busy with work and it's taking a lot more of my mental time, then maybe I spend a lot of time at home reading, playing, resting. I also get a lot of re-energized by spending quality time with good friends. Like, I'm a person who likes that one-on-one or two-on-two, having a nice dinner with my friends, talking about life. That's something that I like a lot. If I'm feeling more energetic, then normally I go outdoors, or I try to go a lot, whether it's running, playing tennis, skiing in winter. I love that. Going to a lake for a swim, a paddleboard, or anything in summer. I don't know, anything that gets my body active, I like it very much.
How did you become part of KISC originally?
That's a very good question. So KISC holds an event, and it's been happening for many decades, right? And initially they're called the work parties, right? And initially there was a few countries that were coming, the Netherlands, Portugal, Spain. I think they were some of the first countries that started to come. And they come for a week, and they work with us, with the pinkies, for 3 days and a half. And then they get another 3 days and a half to explore the Alps, to do their things, to go on hikes, climbs, whatever, right? And it's a deal that we have with them. So basically they pay nothing to come here. And then they get to experience a little bit the center and a little bit the Alps. And so I came with a Spanish World Party. I came with a Spanish World Party in spring 13. And then I fell in love with the place, but I went back home to finish a few things. Then I came back in a spring 15 again with the Spanish Work Party, and then I stayed as a short-term staff that summer, and then next year I became a long-term staff in spring 17, well, in a year and a half or something. And yeah, and then since spring 17, I've been doing this full time.
How is Ovaltine your favorite ice cream?
Well, I'm a person who likes sweet flavors, right? And of course all ice creams are sweet. But if you want to find the sweetest, it's normally something that combines chocolate with caramel, with all those things. And Ovaltine is a Swiss brand that is famous for having this chocolate, but also crunchy, like mixed, right? And the Ovaltine ice cream, which by the way we sell here at the shop. I'm very happy about that. Is of course one of the most popular in Switzerland, but of course when I'm eating on a sunny day in summer, I get that sweetness that I really like in my life.
What's your favorite memory of KISC?
That's a really complicated one because I think we're privileged here. We get to build so many memories across, especially those who had the privilege to spend here years, like me. Like I have almost a favorite memory every week, right? Yeah, like it's such a dynamic environment, and every 3 months new people come in and so on. I'm not sure if I could pick one, right? I think an special one that I have very recent to me is the weekend that I was appointed director. We had here the final interviews one weekend in March, right? And of course the nervousness of knowing if that's going to change your life and I'm going to have to move to another country, and then the moment they call me to tell me that's a special moment that I don't think I can ever forget about that. But that's just one for this year. Like if I go back to when I was a short-term staff, I can tell you another 15, and if I go back to when I was long-term staff, again the same, you know.
What's one thing you miss from Spain?
Is the social life of Spain. Yeah. I think if you have ever been to Spain, like, you know, like I've lived in other countries like Switzerland or Iceland, and there is this idea that social slots on your calendar, like Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday, right? But in Spain, it's like the entire week. Like I finish work at 5 or at 6, and I call a friend and I say, hey, I'm close by your home. Do you want a coffee or something? And then we sit down, we have coffee, we have a chat. And that's happening almost every day of the week, right? And I think the life in Spain allows, and how socioeconomically the country is constructed, allows those spaces, physical and time-wise, to actually spend a lot of quality time with your loved ones. So I think that social aspect is something that I truly admire from Spain. And when I go back there, I never realize how much I miss it until I go back there, and then I get to experience that, and I'm like, I miss this. Yeah.
What made you take the director role?
That's a very good question. Of course, I went through these questions very recently for the interviews, right? So I could give you the interview question, but no, I'm gonna go a bit deeper. I think generally speaking, like I'm a person with like I like to contribute to organizations that share my values, right? And when I came here to KISC, I realized that KISC shares most of my values, if not all, right? And I also like to be in a position in which I can positively impact other people, and I can help young people to become the best versions of themselves. So trying to navigate those two things, taking organizations and individuals to a higher level. There's not many organizations that embrace both things, you know, and we see it in today's society that many corporations and people or organizations that are there purely for profit, they will not allow you to empower young people and to go through that process of doing mistakes and growing and developing and all those things. And maybe other places where they focus completely on developing, they will focus on that at the cost of developing the organization, right? So I think at KISC I found a place in which I can piece those things together, and I can help both the organization and the people around me to become high performers in some way, whatever high performance means for them or for us as an organization. So yeah, there was many years ago that I realized, look, management in non-for-profit sector is something I like to do, and it just happened that I discovered that at KISC, and now after so many years back as a long-term staff in between 2017 and 2019, this time I felt that it was my time to give back what I gained from KISS, which is unmeasurable, if I can say that.
So what's the favourite knot you know?
The favorite knot? Ooh, the reef knot.
Oh, there we
Yeah, I think, and I talk so much about the reef knot because every time we have the WASM flag here waving, the cameras cannot see it, but you can point at it later. I talk a lot about the WASM emblem and what it represents, and when it comes to the rope, you know, and I speak about the reef knot. That is the one knot that the more you pull, the stronger it becomes, symbolizing or representing the strength on the international brotherhood of Scouts. So I talk a lot about that knot, so I guess that's one of my favorite ones. Yeah.
What's the best scouting adventure you've been on?
Then I have to go back to the origins, right? Because now my adventures are very profession oriented, right? So I get a job and I sit on a desk and I plan things, you know. So it's not what I would define, or what most of the Scouts who are seeing this video would define as an adventure, right? Although sometimes it feels like a very big adventure. No, but I like to say, I remember one summer in Spain in which I was a young leader, maybe 22, 23 years old, and we took a group of Scouts between 14 and 17 years old. We took them on a 3-day hike, crossing some of the most incredible mountains in Spain. It's called Gredos. That's an area in more or less the central part of Spain, nearby Madrid. And it was crazy. Like everybody from that trip has such a good memories, but we were challenged, and we helped each other, and we went through the difficulties, and we got to see the accomplishment and the joy on the faces of that young people, that they never thought they could do something like that, and well, they came on top.
What does KISC mean to you?
Oof. Yeah, you have good questions, eh? KISC, for me, it's not what it means, it's what it represents, right? And I think KISC represents, embodies, and embraces this idea that the young people are the people to take the world to the future, right? And I think, you know, when I talk to people who are not even a Scouts, or who are not even, they have never been a KISC, of course, or anything, and I explain that I'm 33 years old, and I'm the director of an organization that has every year 16,000 people coming in, that we have 75,000 overnights, we provide meals every day for 300 people, and that we do that with volunteers in between 18 and 26, most of them years old. Then people get really confused because they kind of don't believe that that's possible, right? And I think what KISS means to me is the live representation that it is possible for young people to lead organizations. It is possible for young people to learn things very quickly, and to actually stop thinking the way we were doing things in the past, and actually look forward to the future, and bring new ideas, new ways of doing things, and I think that's what KISC is about. It's about bringing the Scouts from over the world, right, and allow them, encourage them, enabling them to lead their own way and lead organizations to another level.
What's the best skill you've learned in Scouting?
Resilience, but resilience because I have learned it through Scouting, right? I think this idea that when Scouts go through a tough moment, a challenge, or anything, they still embrace it with a smile, right? And they know it's going to be difficult, and they laugh at it, and they look at it with a positive, optimistic mind, right? And then throughout the time, eventually they get there, and they fight for it, and they don't give up, and they don't suffer the process. They love the process. And I think that's the resilience that I have built through Scouting, not the resilience of suffering through the hard times, but rather to love that process.
What's your favorite Scouting activity?
Capture the flag, but hardcore. Ooh. Yeah. So in Spain, also very traditional for my Scout group, we play, or we used to play when I was a kid, with the kids that were in between 14 and 17. We used to play a nighttime capture the flag for like 10 hours. So it was the full night, right? Yeah. And if you capture a person, then you can interchange it for goods, whether it's a milk for breakfast, or a tent to sleep, or right? So it was super highly strategical. So capture the flag, everybody knows it. It's very basic, but you can of course put so many items and small things in there that you can make a 24-hour game, or you can make a 10-hour game. And I do miss to play a 10-hour nighttime capture the flag. Yeah, I like that.
One thing people don't know about KISC.
I mean, KISC is very transparent, and people know it a lot, right? So I struggle to think from my, I'm here every day, so I struggle to think one thing that people don't know about KISC, right? I wonder how many people know that out of the 250 people running the organization every year, 4 people are professionally employed. The rest, the 246, are volunteers. Yeah, and we run a multi-million income organization with 98% of the staff members being fully volunteers from all over the world. Every year we touch like 40, 50 countries, all the regions. So I think that's a pretty cool concept that I'm not sure how aware people is about.
Sir, how do you keep the Jamboree feeling 365 days?
So in high season it's really easy, right? In high season, guests, scouts and guides from all over the world, they make that happening just because they come, right? There is 2,000 people on the campsite in between July and August, right? Any day of the week, and only having 2,000 people from 30 different countries sharing a campsite, that gives you already the permanent mini Jamboree, right? In low season, it becomes a bit more challenging because sometimes we have 7 guests from 2 countries, and sometimes we have 60 guests from 4 countries, right? So that permanent mini Jamboree idea, it comes down to the staff team. Even in the low season, we're still 40 to 50 staff members at all times, and that's when you find the diversity. That's when you find 20, 25 countries represented within the staff team, and we often speak with them and say, look, the guests that are coming now in October or something, they're also looking for a permanent mini Jamboree. They couldn't come in summer, but they come in October, right? In summer, it's really easy to point them to the campsite and they will get the experience by itself. But in autumn, we have to interact with the guests. It's the staff that make the permanent mini Jamboree special.
Describe scouting in one word.
Hope. I'm just gonna make a point here. It's hope because it's one of those organizations, and this one is 56 million or 57 million people, is one of those organizations that when you belong to it, it gives you a sense of hope for the future, right? You open the news, you watch your government speaking, you watch your leaders, your big organizations, corporations, and normally we get a bit pessimistic and frustrated and so on. And suddenly, when you engage into scouting, whether it's in a local level or on a national level or on an international level, like I think it gives people a sense of hope that the world can and will be a better place. And I don't think there's many environments nowadays, unfortunately, that ensure that if you belong to that you will encounter that hope for the future.